What's going on, y'all, man? Forward Fabian Speaks back with a video, man. We're doing back-to-back content today. Yes, we're dropping, we're speaking, we're talking. Remember, there's power in the tongue, man. Speak upliftment and positivity to all that you see, all that you know, and positive affirmations over oneself as well. So today we're going to be talking about why some chosen ones don't even realize that they're chosen, man. And this is a deep topic in some senses, and it doesn't really apply to everybody because some chosen folks know they're chosen right when they come out the womb. Some chosen folks know they're chosen at an early age and just they see signs, gifts, wonders. They're just familiar with specific capabilities. But this is specifically for some of you guys that may be chosen, or maybe you feel a certain thing, certain calling, and you wonder like what's going on. You haven't really taken a certain path to understand the depths yet. I'll even say for a point in time, I didn't really even realize what my calling was, or that there even was a greater calling on my life. You know what I mean? And I was just doing things that every regular person or a person does in society that doesn't really have any type of drive to become or do anything better or do anything beyond specific, what people would say are specific limitations, right? So I think everybody has a certain timing, and it's all, tied into God's perfect plan and when he's going to choose to reveal something to you, you know what I mean? And when even some people actually have things revealed to them, but they're stubborn. They don't want to fall in line. They don't want to follow the path or the destiny that's been set aside for them. So why do people, or some chosen ones, not realize they're chosen? And the first topic that I'm going to run with and lead with is a lot of chosen ones don't realize or come to the realization that they're chosen is because they're still being colleged. They're still going through the trials or the tutelage, so to speak. You know what I mean? And that's, I'll speak to that because that's my path. Early on, I didn't really realize. I always knew I wanted to do stuff great. I always knew that there was a certain thing different about me, and I knew based off of my surroundings, the environment I was placed in, I always felt like I didn't belong. So I always felt set apart. But I don't think I really understood I was chosen because I was too busy caught up in, just regular life, like I mentioned prior, just trying to do things according to society standards or what my friends were doing, basically being a follower. I wasn't being a leader. But I had a longing and an urge just to be outside and do things because I grew up in a sort of strict household to where I wasn't really able to do too much. So some folks say, when you grow up in an environment like that, you may naturally rebel. But anyways, man, I would say that early on, I didn't really realize I was chosen until I started being set apart. As I got older, you lose friends. You really figure out who your friends are. You get to spend a lot of time in isolation and reflect on oneself. I got, I drew closer to God, and I started spending more time in the Word, and things started being revealed to me that way. But I was in a cycle of just natural societies every day, doing things just to satisfy or fulfill something that really is unfulfillable. And I believe that us as people who aren't of the world, right? We're spiritual beings. Like, this isn't our home. A lot of people say the world is a test, life is a test, it's a game. And I believe that to an extent that it's a test, right? It's a test. You go through trials and tribulations, but God is building up his call or his chosen people to be certain people and do certain things according to his will and to save humanity, right? God has patience, and he wants to save humanity. He wants to be able to use people to bring people back to the body of Christ, believe in his son, and get, eternal salvation. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I didn't really realize because I was too caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and trying to do things. But kind of find out those things didn't really work out for me. You know what I mean? Like, when you try to go against the grain, and for some people it flows for them, but for other people you keep trying to go against the grain, but it don't work. Like, I naturally believe that's God's calling over your life. He's preventing you from getting into trouble, doing certain things, making certain mistakes, things of that sort. So yeah, I just didn't realize because I was caught too much up in the world. And if you know that you're from God or you're part of his family, you're not of the world. You know what I mean? So some folks don't realize they're chosen, and I always believe that everything in life is purposeful and it's meant according to a divine plan. So you may think you're going through life or a troubled time or a season to where you didn't learn anything, but it all was according to a plan. You learned something, you did something. you were trained in a certain way, you were going through a certain routine, or you picked up certain skills that all apply to your calling and God's will over your life. So to kind of two-part that, sometimes you may be caught in fleshly desires and things of the world, but naturally those same things are going to be opportunities or experiences that mold you towards your divine purpose. So a lot of folks don't know their call because they're too busy being, involved with things of the world. And that can at times darken your light, or that can kind of like put a veil over your eyes to where you don't really understand what is even going on or what's been called upon your life. A lot of chosen, and secondly, I'll lead with a lot of chosen people don't know or don't realize they're chosen, or maybe they even do realize they're chosen, but they don't want to be chosen, right? So a lot of folks may realize there's a calling, realize they're the black sheep, realize they're set apart, they're different, but they keep denying it. Like I said earlier, going against the grain. They'll keep fighting it. They'll keep going against it. They'll keep trying to do other things. And, God may even have spoken to them in certain lights, and they still deny the call of God. So some people don't realize that they've been chosen because they don't want to realize. They just want to live in the world. They want to keep doing, partake in their vices, their addictions, whatever sin they're living in. And they don't want to, pretty much withdraw from that and go through seasons of isolation, seasons of tutelage to where God molds you and get you prepared for the mission. So yeah, that's a kind of a thing to where you have the folks who just don't have a clue and they come into it. Then you have the folks who have a clue, but they just don't want to realize it. They don't want to own it. They want to separate themselves from it, right? And this is another thing I'll say, a third parter. A lot of people don't realize they're chosen because it's not their time to really step into the calling yet. So they may not even realize or understand that they're different, they're set apart, they're just living naturally. And then it may be a point or a season in time to where God really hearkens, you know what I'm saying? He really knocks on your door. He really calls you to where you come into immediate realization. At the time and the point in time, the time frame in which a person or a chosen one comes into realization varies. The timeline is different. We're not all the same, but it's all according to God's divine purpose, man. God's all-knowing. He's omnipotent. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't not know what's going on. He knows what's happening regardless. And he knows what's going to happen. He knows the folks that will never take up the call. He knows the folks that it will take a longer time to take up the call. He knows folks that will be have their ear or be very in tune with the call at a very early age, man. There's some kids that just, young kids, they're just years beyond their time, wise beyond their years. And, they've been marked by God. They have a certain thing about them that they already set themselves apart prior to even, some people set themselves apart because things in their life fall apart. Maybe you lose friends, lose relationships. Maybe your family's toxic. So you encounter things that make you set yourself apart. Some folks don't even need to go through the trials and tribulations or the heartache of being set apart. Some folks just naturally remove themselves because they know that they need to spend time with their Father. They know they need to be fasting, reading the Word, spending time in prayer. They remove themselves. I liken it to Jesus. A lot of, excuse me, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, y'all. He always disappeared. He always set himself apart, went away into his own quiet place. That's why they talk about being still, being quiet, be at a point of rest, because God speaks in the quiet places. God speaks in the whispers. Be still and know that I am God. You know what I mean? So even if you watch from a visual perspective, if you've ever watched The Chosen, the series of The Chosen, why do y'all think there's the episodes where Jesus is never around? They'll be like, where's Jesus? We don't know. He left. He's been gone for 3 days. He spent time away. He removed himself to hear from the Father. He didn't want to be around all the noise. He didn't want to be around all the hustle and bustle and the chaos. He knew I had to get away. He knew I had to be in silence. I had to be in peace and spend time with my Father in heaven. So I kind of laid out 3 examples, you know what I mean? The people that go against the call, the people who are, naturally living a certain lifestyle, and then they fall into the call at a point in time. And then there's the folks who are called from early on, and they walk into that call since they're a toddler, since a youth, you know what I mean? So it all comes back to our Father in heaven and what his specific will is. That's the beauty, man. We're all unique. We're all different. There's all specific gifts that he's, given us to where we can use those gifts to magnify his kingdom, to give him glory, right? So with that being said, man, comment down below. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this, man. Peace, love, prosperity. We'll definitely see you on the next video, man. We out.